in Hara, and he remembered it, and he found after a while he could buy the pieces of which it was made up. Unfortunately, those that bought it from the shop pulled it to pieces. But by following the sun fading marks, he could build the base as it used to be. And the motor chassis itself was a bit of a difficulty. He researched around the world on the internet, and this is about as close as he can get apparently as to what it was. There's a reasonable amount of discussion went on as to whether it actually was built in the factory in England or not. Still ongoing, and the only thing that Alistair added to it was actually a seat for the driver. But it looks scruffy, and I've deliberately left it that way because that shows its patina of age, for want of a better term.
This one?
Now, this is a Canadian design built by Bruce Nielsen, and when he died, much to my surprise, there it was left to me. It's magnificent for demonstrating to people the different gearings, and in fact at a vintage car show we had it at, the ladies came up and wanted to know if it had, does this thing have what you call a diff in it? And I said, yes it does. And she said, right, what's that? Because my husband's always talking about it braking, so I demonstrated the differential to her.
Okay. And?
Oh, this one's a wee bit different. This one comes from my youth, and it was in Corrigal's toy shop in New Plymouth, and I admired it as a kid. It also has still got the dust and muck of ages on it, and I used to go and see Jack Corrigal in his shop, and he and his son decided I was the only one that seemed to show interest in their model 3 stories up in the building, so when they decided to quit Meccano, they came to me. This is on behalf of Hugh Ramage, and it's a French knitting machine. People will remember using a cotton reel as a child. Well, this thing mechanically replaces that cotton reel. It's quite ingenious. It's a sort of a thing when it becomes unravelled, or whatever you call it. Hugh totally designed it, and he's in Australia, which is why yours truly has got it here. And there was actually a bit of arguing to get it out of Hugh to bring it up here to Auckland. And several of our other club members are very pleased that it is here and demonstrating Hugh's ingenuity. It's not the first knitting machine he's built. He's a sewing and knitting machine mechanic by trade, and one of the things he has built in the past is a bag sewer that actually worked and was totally out of Meccano, apart from the needles and the thread that it used.
Dave Shand. This is started off as a digger with no name. I started with the track as an experiment to see how it would go, and took it along to February meeting we had at Taupo, not this one, the year before, and it was very successful. So I developed the next track and then joined them together, and then wondered, what am I going to make out of it? Whether it's going to be a bulldozer or a digger or anything. Anyway, I got onto the internet and I found a Hitachi 870, and I thought, well, the tracks look in proportion to what the unit is, and so that's what it became. And
does it go?
Yes, I can make it go. All right. Yep, we're all set to go. I haven't got very much to run. Got to watch it here.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I can turn it round, the arm going up and the engine going. And the bucket going. Just got to watch the rods coming up. And, yeah, and rotates round. See? There's one motor up the front for the bucket. There's one for the front arm, and there's back here the main drive lifting this. I had a lot of problems. I couldn't lift it with one motor, so I actually I've got two motors underneath here, and they drive one shaft through to the front, and then from there on there's putting the screwdriver up. It's the only way I could lift the arm. I made the arm up out of about 3 times to get the weight down, because I had to reduce it, and I had to use the flexible plates, alter them around to get the weight down. I made 3 buckets before I got the bucket that would be able to be lifted, and I had to reduce the size of this and reduce the weight because it was just too heavy. Right, the engine is the Baltic tank engine, originally in one of the supermodel kits, leaflets, but they use the strips, whereas now a modern version we can use the plates, which look a little bit better. I've made it about 18 months old now, so I've had it around a while, and the driving wheels are all on roller bearings, little wee roller bearings inside the main bush. It was a very good engine to build. I recently took the whole boiler off and repainted the plates and painted the front black. Not many parts that aren't Meccano. The chimney's not a Meccano part, and I think the very front plate is a little bit bigger than the Meccano one, just to fill the hole.
I'm Bob Prescott, MWT Meccano Club, and my first model is the tire crane here, which is built from a model plan and operates via a computer controlled device, and all the actions are, is the hoist, and there's the travel. And here comes the slew. That's the tire crane. And the second one is a model of Mamma Mia that plays all the songs from the show in the order that they are in the show. And here are the 4 people involved with their names on the front. And it's controlled by one motor. Does the whole lot. Just a CD player underneath which plays the CD. This is the endless ball chute, which is also made from a model plan by a modeller in the UK, and it's very difficult to adjust to start with, but once it gets working it works quite well, because we've got to get the bounce right for it to go into the basket. And there is some Meccano in it, which is what the belt is here. 2 ladies' belts from the $2 shop. So the kids like it when it fails, then they can chase after the ping pong ball and put it in the basket.
Hello, I'm Lou Nichols. I'm a member of 2 Meccano clubs, Wellington and MWT. I now live in Paraparaumu on the Wellington West Coast, and I tend to build not tremendously large models, but this one has given me a lot of pleasure doing the Meccano miniatures and the beam engine. Now, if I the beam engine is satisfying because it gives them quite a nice few different mechanisms. This one here on the eccentric, the governor, the crank, the beam, and the pump and the oscillating mechanism in there. I'm extremely happy with this model. I've had this built up now probably for 20 years. It gives a very nice appearance of the record, not the record breaking, but the first transatlantic flight of Colonel Lindbergh. And I like this. It's just a little whimsical model called Bookends with a little motor in it there.
What does the motor do?
Oh, it's just simply turns the propeller just to make it look a little bit real. And I've done this as an Olympic tableau. The sports we're particularly good in, the rowing and the cycling, and not too bad in athletics there. And this little model is called Balance Flying, and it gradually picks up speed as it flies along. And I would have had this built up probably more than 30 years now. So there we are, that's my offering today.
Yeah, I'm Barry Babbage, member of the Federation of Model Builders, but I'm not affiliated to any club, but end up coming to most of the conventions and thoroughly enjoy them and looking around all the various models. Now, do you want to pause here?
No, carry on, go.
Do you want me to tell you about this?
Yeah,
or
tell us all
okay.
about it.
What I'm up to here is a fairly modern type of motor chassis, but it's really just the mechanics of it. It's not so much an elegant model, and it employs some of the newer gears that are made by, what's Jeff's name? The guy who does all those brass gears and all those brass parts. And what we've got here is some model. It's front wheel drive with some, you can see those brass CV joints there. And inside there also is a very compact 3-speed and reverse gearbox. Now that gearbox there is made from his gears, which are very thin in their cross section. They're not wide and deep like the old Meccano ones, so it can become very compact. So it actually works quite well in sort of looking for applications for modern motor vehicle ideas. So that's what's happened there. So, and the idea of this freewheeling thing up here is just to, if I leave it run on its own, it flies off the bench. But if you put it there like so and start it up, there we go there, running in the lower gear at the moment. So it's just freewheeling, you might say, on this. This tumbler here is rather interesting. It's made by a guy in Australia many years ago, and no such thing as not a non-standard Meccano part, but for the first time ever, I think I bought it in 1993, for the first time ever I've used it. So here we go here. If I pull it back here, it'll flick into the reverse gear. There's the reverse gear. And this is a fun machine. It's an idea that came up in one of the Constructor Quarterly things. And the idea is that kids, as they're going past, they look at it and you say, which way are these things turning? Are they both turning in the same direction, or are they turning in different directions? 9 times out of 10, they'll say they're turning in different directions, because at first glance it looks like it. But when you go face onto each one, like you're looking at the blue one, or you're looking at the green one at a time, they are actually rotating in the same direction. So it's just a fun machine with a bit of modern rods and lots of brass parts. It's just a bit of fun, okay? And that's about it. This is a very simple idea put together for a clutch. Meccano clutches are often quite difficult to get. The friction is not good enough and they drag and they skid. This is made with a very cheap little tie out of one of the cheap Meccano sets, and so it can make a very, very compact little clutch. Once again, just an application for motor vehicles.
Hey, Bruce Gange from Palmerston North. I belong to the MWT Meccano Club. We have here a Cuthbertson water buffalo, which is designed and built in Scotland for clearing swampland. The tractor is capable of working in 4 feet of water. It has a winch on the front to self-extract itself if it gets stuck. And there's a hydraulic ram here which lowers or raises the plough or draining device in swampland. This is a Caterpillar TD24. It's got a pipe laying crane fitted to it. It all operates. If we flick a switch on there, which it is, that'll let the crane down, the crane up. You can lower the jib, and we can also put the counterweight out. The tractor will, if wanted to, no, the tractor will, believe it or not, go there. You can steer it and take it back. London Tower Bridge, the bridge part will operate. It's made from the Landmark set. That's about the limit of that one. We have here a small tractor I designed based on the Farmwell H and M series. Got steering. There is forward and reverse on it. Oh, there it is there. It's got 2 speeds. And we have the good old Farmwell F20 from the 1930s. That also will go like a rocket. And we come here to the old Fordson tractor, driven with a magic motor. I don't know where the key is, that's beside the point. And this is a Fowler ploughing engine. They work in pairs with a 7-furrow plough between them, balanced plough. There's that there. And you can put it into gear. And there's your steering. This is a little crane based on a Dinky Super Toy model. You can lower the jib, raise the jib, and lower the hook from here. It's got twin beam oscillating suspension. The other one is an old D8. I'm not sure if we get this to go. There's a switch underneath somewhere that's not turned on. Here we are, and you can steer that. And you can lower the blade down from there. This is a International T6. It's radio control. We can make it go there. We can steer it. And we can bring it back again. And the winch can come out. This is another little model. There again, what do we got? Here we are. And we go forward and backwards. That's about it on that. It's got 2 speeds to it. And this is the grader. Well, I've really got to take the cab off to drive this. If we just pull that off there, there is power steering on there. We can make it go forward. It's got oscillating on the axles. 4-wheel drive. We can. What does that do? That's the scarifier going down. Whoop, wrong one. And there's the blade rotating. I can lower the blade up and down on these.
Pretty dirty.
Okay, go.
Hi, Robin Rye, MWT Meccano Club. I'm from Eltham, Taranaki. I've made a number of things Firstly it's a model of a spanner, but unusually for models it's much larger than the original thing, which there's the original there, and just a nice little piece which has taken a bit of attention. Got a army truck here just assembled out of a fairly standard piece. You've got a major crane, a minor crane, a ramp, oxyacetylene set, winch, the crane, major crane swivels, of course. We've got stands here for the crane, which fold up out of the way. There is a motor. My major model